Hello, thank you for taking the time to watch this video. My name is Michael Pramawat, and I am applying to be a caster for the 2014 Pokemon Trading Card Game US Nationals and World Championships. As a player, I've been playing for a very long time. I started playing in 1999, which is base set. I've had numerous state championship victories. I've won regional championships 3 times, and I've gotten second in another one. I've top cut in nationals 6 times, and I've qualified for world for 7 of them. In world championships, I've top cutted 5 times, and in those top cuts, I had a top 8 in 2012, and I've gotten second in 2010. As a caster, I've casted many tournaments, such as the Top Cut Invitational, regional and state championships, national top cut matches, and many city championships. The game I chose to cast for this audition is the 2013 World Championship TCG Masters Final. The reason for this is because it's a historic match featuring the highest level of play, where we see Jason Klaczynski becoming the first time, 3-time world champion. Enjoy the match. Hello everyone, my name is Michael Pramawat, and I am bringing you the finals of the 2013 Pokemon TCG World Championships. On our left we have the 2-time world champion Jason Klaczynski, and on our right we have Simon Narode. Now, Simon is using a Team Plasma deck, which consists of many Team Plasma Pokemon and then Keldeo EX. So he starts with the Deoxys EX and plays a Colress Machine. Now, Colress Machine lets you search your deck for a Plasma Energy and attach it to one of your Team Plasma Pokemon. So he's going to search his deck, get a Plasma Energy, put it onto Deoxys EX, which is a Team Plasma Pokemon, and that'll open up a few options of play for Simon. One option would be to attack with Deoxys EX using Helix Force. Now what Helix Force does, it does 30 damage plus 30 more damage for each energy on the defending Pokemon. However, this effect can only happen when a Plasma Energy is attached to a Deoxys EX. So this little combo with Colress Machine enables Deoxys EX to be very powerful right now. And Simon then plays an N, which makes both players shuffle their hands into their deck and draw a number of cards equal to the number of prize cards they have left. So right now both players have 6 cards, 6 prizes, so they'll both draw 6 cards. Now Simon, he plays down a Kyurem and Deoxys, another Deoxys EX, and attaches a Plasma Energy to Kyurem. So the main focus of Simon's deck is really to just get in there with Kyurem. It has 2 attacks, Frost Spear and Blizzard Burn. However, now on Jason's turn, he goes Hypnotoxic Laser, which puts the status condition Poison onto the defending Pokemon, into the opponent's active Pokemon, and then he flips a coin. If heads, the Pokemon is also asleep. However, Jason got Tails, and now proceeds to Ultra Ball, and he finds himself a Keldeo EX. What Ultra Ball does is it lets you discard 2 cards from your hand to search your deck for any Pokemon and put it into your hand. So now Jason also plays down a Darkrai EX and then plays Professor Juniper. So now Jason is in pretty decent shape here. He really needs to get some energy cards on the field in order to really get going, but he has everything he needs on his field already. He has a Darkrai, he has a Keldeo, a Mr. Mime, which is very helpful in this matchup. It really restricts Frost Spear, which does 30 damage to the active, and then Simon could pick any Pokemon on the bench and do another 30 damage. Now Jason puts a Dark Energy on the Sableye and decides to use Junk Hunt. And his target, what that does, it lets him search for 2 item cards from his discard and put them in his hand. He picks Hypnotoxic Laser and Ultra Ball. Now Simon plays a Hypnotoxic Laser of his own, and now that'll make Sableye poison, and he flips heads to put it to sleep. So there's a few things Simon could do here. He could attach a psychic energy to Deoxys and just knock out Sableye. However, he plays Juniper, which lets him discard his hand and then draw 7 to look for more options. Maybe another line of play will come up. So now Simon, he does have a Prism energy in his hand, which provides any type of energy for his basic Pokemon. However, all of Simon's Pokemon just happen to be basic Pokemon, so it just provides any energy type he wants on any Pokemon. So now Simon is attaching a Float Stone to Deoxys EX to make it so it has 0 retreat cost, and it's going to retreat for the Kyurem. And now Simon's just going to use Frost Spear, which does 30. However, because Simon has 2 Deoxys EX in play, it allows his Team Plasma Pokemon, excluding Deoxys EX, to do 10 additional damage. So Frost Spear actually did 50 damage here. And since Sableye had 70 HP, 50 damage from Frost Spear, 30 damage from the poison effect, that is a knockout between turns. Jason uses Random Receiver, and now he's a little bit in trouble here. He has no energy on the field. He really needs to recover his board state from the quick aggression coming from Simon. So he decides to use Ultra Ball here, discarding Ultra Ball, and it looks like a Darkrai EX. So one card that Simon plays is Absol, and Jason is well aware of this card. What Absol does is it does 20 damage plus 20 for each bench Pokemon on your opponent's side of the field. So Jason's trying to keep his bench size as light as he can. However, he then decides to bench 2 Sableye he benches a Sableye and a second Darkrai, uses Dark Patch, which lets him search his discard pile for a Darkness energy and attach it to one of his Dark Pokemon. So he uses Hypnotoxic Laser, flips heads, and now plays N. So both players will shuffle their deck and draw 6 cards. Now, what Jason wants to do here is he's going to want to use Junk Hunt. And what he's looking for is a Dark Energy to attach to the Keldeo EX. Now, what Keldeo EX does, it'll be able to use its ability Russian, which sends it to the active spot if it's on the bench, and it will give free retreat with a Dark Energy because of Darkrai EX's ability Dark Cloak. So now we see Jason get a Enhance Hammer. He Enhance Hammers the Prism Energy off the Kyurem, which stops Simon from actually having any threats on the field. So now we'll see Jason rush in and then retreat for Sableye, and he's just going to Junk Hunt again. He's going to get that Enhanced Hammer, and he's just going to get a Dark Patch, and he's just going to keep trying to keep Simon's board off of any kind of color energy, keep Simon from really doing anything threatening, and just keep Simon from attacking him, really. So now Simon plays a Skyla, which lets you search your deck for any trainer card. So Simon, what could he get here? A Keldeo EX would be very good here to relieve him of the status condition, and by doing that he would have to get a Ultra Ball from his deck with the Skyla. And that's what he does. He gets Ultra Ball, and now if he has a Float Stone in his hand, he can Ultra Ball for the Keldeo X, attach a Float Stone to it, and then rush in, retreat, essentially giving him the same combo that Jason just pulled off. A bit different in the way they did there, but the results are the same. Now Keldeo X is very important because it effectively gets rid of any status conditions on your active Pokemon. When a Pokemon hits the bench, all status conditions are removed. So by Keldeo rushing in and then retreating immediately, it relieves a lot of stress from a sleep check. So now he rushes, retreats, sends up Thunderous EX, attaches a Plasma Energy to it, a Prism Energy to it, and now uses Raiden Knuckle to reattach that energy that Jason had enhanced hammered off the Kyurem. So Raiden Knuckle does 30 damage, and it lets you search your discard for any energy card and attach it to one of your Team Plasma Pokemon. Now, that usually does 30 damage, however, because of Deoxys, that does 50. So now Jason has a little bit of a decision to make. Which energy does he enhance hammer? Does he go after the Thunderous EX, or does he go after the Kyurem? If he goes after the Kyurem, then Thunderous EX will just reattach the energy onto Kyurem using Raiden Knuckle. However, if he goes after the Thunderous EX, then Simon will need another energy to put on the Thunderous to use it again, or he could attack with Kyurem. So it's a little bit of a tricky situation, but Jason decides to go with the Thunderous EX. Now he plays Bicycle, which lets you draw until you have 4 cards in your hand, and then attaches a Dark Claw onto Darkrai EX. And he's really just powering up this Darkrai. With Darkrai's attack, Night Spear, it does 90 damage and 30 to the bench. However, with Dark Claw, it'll let you do an additional 20 damage if that Pokemon is a Dark type Pokemon. So right now, Night Spear on that Darkrai is doing 110. So we see another Hypnotoxic Laser and another Dark Patch. And now the math is interesting with Darkrai EX against Pokemon which has 170 HP, which happens to be all of Simon's EX Pokemon. So if you do Night Spear, you do 110, and then with Poison, that's 30, that's 140, but then you get to do 30 to the bench somewhere. Now, if you use Pokemon Catcher to catcher up the Pokemon you just did 30 damage to, and then Laser and Night Spear again, that's 2 knockouts on 2 Pokemon EX Pokemon for 4 prizes. When you knock out a Pokemon EX, you get an additional prize card to draw. So we did see Jason just junk hunt again for the Enhance Hammer. However, Simon is trying to counter this play by playing an N of his own to make Jason shuffle his hand back into his deck. Now it just comes down to, will Jason redraw his Enhance Hammer? This matchup really revolves around how fast can Simon take prizes while avoiding Jason's Enhance Hammers. Now we see a Keldeo Russian retreat, getting rid of the poison effect on the Thunderous EX. And we see another energy going on the Thunderous, and he's just going to Raiden Knuckle again for a knockout, which is going to put Jason under some pressure. However, there is already 30 damage on Thunderous EX. So now Darkrai is going to be quite a terror for Simon. Darkrai EX has 180 HP, and Simon's just going to have to find some way to deal with it. Simon could use Helix Force, which would do 30 plus 30 for every energy Darkrai has, which would be 3 energy for 120. However, Darkrai EX is resistant to Psychic, so it reduces the damage done by Psychic Pokemon by 20 damage. And Jason does have the Enhance Hammer in his hand. However, he plays a Pokemon Catcher, and this is smart. So what he's doing, he's saying, alright, your only real big threat is this Kyurem. I'm going to knock it out, reduce the amount of energy you have on the field, and now he plays Enhance Hammer, and he's going to get rid of the energy off the Thunderous. Now, Simon has had a very tough time keeping energy in play because of Jason's constant Enhance Hammers. But now, Simon's just going to be left with, the only energy in play is going to be left on a 30 damage Deoxys. So it's going to be quite tough for him. Now, what will Simon do in response to this? His Kyurem is going to be knocked out by this Darkrai. 30 more damage is going to be flying onto his field, onto his bench, and Jason is just powering up more and more Darkrai's. Simon's going to have a very difficult time dealing with this, especially because every time Simon can't really use Frost Spear that effectively because of the Mr. Mime, which prevents bench damage from taking place on Jason's bench. Now, Simon sends up the Deoxys EX that has 60 damage on it thanks to Night Spear, uses a Hypnotoxic Laser, and gets Tails. So right now, Simon's going to be able to do 130 damage if we include the poison to Jason's Darkrai EX. Well, that's quite frankly not enough. He does play an N this time, and Simon has been going through these Ns quite liberally. This is going to put a hamper on Simon's ability to win the late game, because Simon might need to play N, put Jason at one or two cards, and hope that Jason doesn't draw what he needs. But he's being forced to play these Ns just to try and get anything going. So he has a Deoxys right now with 60 damage on it, and that will get knocked out by a Darkrai EX if he attacks with it. So he's really struggling here to do anything, really. These Enhanced Hammers coming from Jason have really put its toll onto Simon's deck. And it looks like Simon just attacks with Helix Force, does 130 damage, and Simon's Deoxys EX is going to get knocked out this turn. Jason can just simply rush in, retreat, and then send up this Darkrai EX that has a Dark Claw on it. Sure, you may be giving up 2 prizes with Darkrai, but you're also eliminating all the energy on Simon's field. Now, Jason has an Enhanced Hammer in his hand too. However, he opts to not play it because the only energy Simon has is on the active, and those energies are about to be discarded when Jason knocks out this Deoxys EX. So he does knock it out, and where will Jason put this 30 damage on? It's very interesting. Maybe he'll put it on the Thunderous. Yep, he puts it on the Thunderous, bringing it up to 60 damage, and now he draws 2 prize cards. And he nets a Computer Search off these prize cards. A very good pickup for Jason. Now, Simon plays a Team Plasma Ball, and that lets him search for any Plasma Pokemon. Maybe he'll get a Kyurem, really just power that up again. But it looks like he gets a Deoxys. Now, this is just to keep the damage output of his Team Plasma Pokemon relatively high. So he gets he plays down Deoxys, and now what will Simon do? He's looking at this Colress. So he plays down Colress, which lets you shuffle your hand into your deck and draw a number of cards equal to the number of bench Pokemon on both sides of the field. So right now he's going to Colress for 7 cards here, and that is a pretty good play. He'll be able to maybe draw energy that he desperately needs. So Simon flicking over one of the cards. Now Simon has 7 cards in his hand after this, and he really just needs to get energy on the field. He Team Plasma Balls. Now what will he get? Will he get a Kyurem? Could he get one of those? And he's actually looking at a Lugia EX. Now this is very cool. So what Simon is saying is, hey, that Darkrai only has 50 HP left. I'm going to be doing 50 damage with my Thunderous. That's going to put me at 2 prize cards, and then all I have to do is use Lugia EX to knock out that Mr. Mime with a Pokemon Catcher and Plasma Gale. So this is a very strong play by Simon, and will Jason be able to put a stop to this? It's going to be very close, and by having all EXs on Simon's field, Jason is going to effectively have to take 7 prize cards in this game. So it's very, very difficult for Jason to win this game normally. But now he does have another Darkrai EX powered up, and he does have an Enhance Hammer in his hand. So he's at a very interesting decision point. What does he actually attack? What does he get rid of with Enhance Hammer? Now, he has 2 choices for Enhance Hammer. He can get rid of the Prism Energy off the Thundurus EX, or he can get rid of the Plasma Energy off Lugia EX. Now, he opts for a computer search, which will let him search his deck for any card he wants and put it into his hand. What card would Jason get here? Maybe it looks like he's thinking about a Pokemon catcher, and he's really playing this very safely. He wants to make sure he does all the right moves, make sure he doesn't mess this up. But if he gets Pokemon catcher, what do you target here? Maybe the Thundurus EX that actually has 60 damage on it. Even if you don't have a Dark Claw, you can still put it to 150, put 30 damage somewhere else, and then next turn, catcher again, and use Laser Dark Claw for 140, and that would be a double knockout for 4 prizes. This is a very good line of thought for Jason. If you do something like that, what do you Enhance Hammer? Probably the Lugia EX. That way, it'll keep the damage. It'll keep Lugia from sniping off Mr. Mime. And yep, Jason catches up the Thundurus EX with 60 damage on it, and now he gets to play an N, which will force Simon to only have 2 cards in his hand, which is a very big deal. Simon will only be able to most likely play his board, except for the 2 cards in his hand, after Jason plays this N. So Jason is just going through all his options here. He plays a Dark Energy onto Mr. Mime, and the reason he does this is to minimize the amount of cards in his deck. So Jason will only be able to draw 3 cards. However, he does not want to redraw this Dark Energy. So by playing it now, he gets rid of it and he won't see it again. Now Simon only gets to draw 2 cards here, and we'll just see what these players get. So Jason gets a Random Receiver, a Dark Energy, and a Hypnotoxic Laser. This is big. So Jason uses Hypnotoxic Laser to poison Thundurus EX, and now he's going to send up Darkrai EX, just Night Spear, knock out this Thundurus EX, and then do 30 damage, probably to Thundurus EX. Now, the Thundurus EX with the energy on it has 30 damage on it. However, Simon wants to use this card to attack with, but because of the 30 damage on it, all Jason needs is another Hypnotoxic Laser and a Dark Claw, and Jason has won the game. So Simon is in a very tough spot here. What can he even do with only 2 cards plus the 1 card he drew? Does Simon even have a supporter in his hand? And Simon is just... his only line of play here is to ride a knuckle and just hope for the best. Just hope that Jason cannot win this turn. Now, Jason is going to be playing cards down to optimize his odds of winning this turn. It looks like he was considering playing down a second Keldeo EX, which would have no real purpose other than just in case Simon decides to go catcher, laser onto Keldeo EX, it goes to sleep. But by playing the second Keldeo EX, he ensures that that situation will not happen. And it looks like Jason gets what he needs, wins game 1, and does 140 damage to that Thunderous EX to take 7 prizes this game. So Jason kind of just wins game 1 in a very crushing fashion. He really controlled the game pace of the game, the entire game, despite going second. And going first is a very big deal in this game. So now we're going to game 2, and Jason is up 1 game. However, because Simon lost game 1, he chooses to go first for game 2. Simon's start is a little better this time. He gets a Thunderous EX in the active spot and plays down a Kyurem. So now he gets to Colress Machine, search his deck for a Plasma Energy, and put it onto Kyurem. And Jason, he's in the same spot as he was last game. Will he be able to draw on the Enhance Hammers? And while Jason's shuffling through his cards, he does in fact have a Enhance Hammer, which is the bane of Simon's deck. Simon's deck has a very difficult time dealing with Junk Hunt and Enhance Hammer. When those two cards come together, Simon has a very, very tough time, because the only way he can deal with it is through Ride and Knuckle, and it really limits the amount of plays Simon can have. So Simon plays a Blend Energy onto Thunderous and plays Juniper, discarding 3 energy cards, which is perfect for him. It lets him have a bunch of energy for Ride and Knuckle to fuel his bench Pokemon. And now he plays down a Deoxys EX to boost the attack of all his Pokemon. And now we'll just see, will Simon Ride and Knuckle for 40 damage? And the answer is maybe. He's thinking about it. He's definitely going to get that Prism Energy out of the discard pile and put it onto the Kyurem. And he does Ride and Knuckle for 40 damage. Now on Jason's turn, he does have the Enhance Hammer, and he saw what worked last time. Just keep energy off Thunderous EX and all will be well. And he does that. And he even puts it to sleep with Hypnotoxic Laser. Now Jason does have a Dark Energy for the Sableye, but what he's considering here is using Ultra Ball, putting the Dark Energy in the discard pile for Dark Patch. However, that is a much more risky line of play, and he opts to not do it. So he plays an N, and both players will shuffle and draw 6. Now Jason actually has everything he needs already. He has an Enhance Hammer in the discard, he's already removed 1, he's about to Junk Hunt on his turn. This turn 1 is going fantastic for Jason. Now all he needs to do is just keep up this disruption, keep up this pressure, and game 1 may play out similarly to game 2 may play out similarly to game 1. Now Jason draws 6/6, and he has a Keldeo EX, which is very good versus Hypnotoxic Laser, so we'll expect to see that coming down, and it does. And he has a Burbank City Gem. He decides to not play it, and the reason for this is because if Simon has a Hypnotoxic Laser, and if he stays asleep, then all Simon has to do is play his own Hypnotoxic Laser to do 30 damage with Poison, and Sableye would be knocked out. So a very intelligent play by Jason to hold back his resources. He doesn't want to overcommit his cards down to put him in a bad situation. So we see Simon Colress for 6 cards here, and he does have the Keldeo EX in play, so all Simon needs now is a Float Stone to rush in, retreat, and get rid of this status condition. So does Simon draw the Float Stone? Does he get it? And the answer is yes, in fact he does. He does get the Float Stone, which will allow Keldeo EX to rush in, retreat, and he even gets an energy card. So this is a perfect solution for Simon here. He gets another energy card, he gets to reattach that Blend Energy that Jason had discarded and put it onto the Kyurem. So this, even though Jason had a really good turn 1, Simon's turns 1 and 2 have just been better. He's really tempoing through Jason's disruption, and he's showing a lot of aggression with Thunderous EX. Now Jason has no energy on the board. He doesn't have a Sableye, and he doesn't really know what to send up at this point. So he sends up the Darkrai EX because he can just rush in if need be to swap the active spot. Now he plays a Pokemon Catcher after using Tool Scrapper to get rid of the Float Stone, and he really just hopes Keldeo EX stays in the active spot. So now we see a Hypnotoxic Laser putting Keldeo EX to sleep, and we see a Russian and a Dark Patch. And now, what will Jason do here? He plays a Juniper, and now let's see what he gets with this Juniper here. So he gets another Darkrai, he gets a Sableye, so he actually has everything he needs here. If he can have another Dark Patch for Sableye here, he would be able to Junk Hunt because he could attach an energy to the Keldeo EX, retreat, and then just Junk Hunt again. However, I'm not sure if Jason actually has a Dark Patch in his hand. He looks like he's debating. It looks like he does not, because he would have just done that. Now, he's actually debating on where to attach this energy card. Does he attach it to the Sableye? Does he attach it to Keldeo? Or Darkrai? If he attaches it to Darkrai, it powers up Darkrai for the next turn. However, Keldeo is left stranded in the active spot. So he opts to attach it to Keldeo EX and bench another Darkrai EX to send to the active spot. And with this Darkrai EX, all it's doing is just absorbing damage. He's not really planning to attack with it. He says, alright, if you're going to attack me, you're going to attack this Darkrai EX, and I hope this damage won't come to matter later in the game. So Simon does wake up and has a computer search, so he will be able to get another Float Stone onto this Keldeo EX. Now, Simon still needs an energy card for Thundurus EX to keep powering up his Pokemon, or he can send up Kyurem to use Frost Spear or Blizzard Burn. So now there's a lot of lines of play that Simon can do. He can go with any of Kyurem's attacks. Maybe he'll drop a Lugia, start powering that up again. It's a very interesting. Simon has a very interesting Team Plasma deck because he can do either Lugia, Kyurem, or Thundurus, and it really puts a lot of different pressure onto his opponents. So we see a catcher on the Sableye here. And what Simon is saying is, okay, I know what the problem is, why your deck is giving me such a hard time. It's really because of Sableye and Junk Hunt. Because Junk Hunt lets him get back his item cards, like Enhance Hammer, which really puts a big strain onto Simon's deck. So Simon really just wants to get rid of it as soon as he can. However, Simon does not hit an energy card that he wants to attach. He can have a DCE attachment, but he really has nowhere good to attach it, so he actually just goes Blizzard Burn for 140 damage against a Sableye. However, Blizzard Burn lets you not be able to attack with Kyurem the next turn. However, that effect can be removed once it hits the bench. And the way it'll hit the bench is with this Russian Keldeo combo with Floatstone. Now, this is a very synergistic strategy. He gets the Blizzard Burn effectively every turn if he keeps the Kyurem alive, and if he keeps rushing it with a Floatstone on Keldeo EX. So this board state seems eerily similar to last game's board state, where Jason lost two Sableyes very early, and it looks like he's going to deal with this Kyurem. So Jason's in great shape here. He rushes in, he's going to retreat, and he has a energy switch, and that will be a knockout. All of Simon's energy on the board is going to be gone, and Jason will have a fully powered Darkrai EX just night spearing away on Simon's field. This is a horrible situation for Simon. Not only is he losing all the energy on his field, he also knows Jason has an Enhance Hammer in his deck somewhere, and Jason's drawing 6 cards. This is a very dire situation for Simon. Will Simon be able to draw out of it? Oh, but Jason does need a Burbank City gem to pull off this knockout. And he gets it! Oh man, Jason. He's going to be Night Spearing for 110 with 30 damage for poison, which is 140 damage in total, which is a knockout. And he gets to put 30 damage onto probably the Thunderous EX, because that is the only real attacker that Simon will have, and Jason has the answer for it. He has another Hypnotoxic Laser in his hand. He's just ready to deal with anything Simon puts into the active spot. So, yep, the Night Spear bench damage does go onto Thunderous EX, and Simon is in a very, very difficult spot. He has no energy on the field. His Thunderous has 40 damage on it. What can Simon do to really maneuver his way out of this lock that Jason has imposed on him? So it looks like we do see a Skyla coming out of Simon, and he's going to Skyla for a Team Plasma Ball for a Lugia EX. So he's going with the Lugia strategy once again, and he didn't get to use it last game. However, this game may prove differently. So we see a Colress machine. It's going to get a Plasma Energy onto the Lugia EX. And I believe this is actually his 4th Plasma Energy. So any Colress machines he draws late from now on will actually get nothing. Very, very aggressive start with the Juniper discarding 3 energy, but it might end up biting him in the end. However, Simon has the energy cards he needs, and he's just going to keep powering up this Lugia EX. However, Jason does in fact have a Hypnotoxic Laser to deal with this Thunderous EX and just put a stop to any of these shenanigans that Simon's trying to pull with Lugia EX. But if Lugia does get to attack next turn, he will be able to knock out this Darkrai EX for 3 prize cards due to Lugia EX's ability. Lugia's ability lets you draw an additional prize card when you knock out a Pokemon with Lugia EX. However, because Darkrai EX is already worth 2 prize cards because it's an EX, it is worth 3 prize cards, putting Simon at 1 if he knocks out this Darkrai with Lugia EX. So Jason, looking through Simon's discard pile, he sees that all 4 Plasma Energies are in play or in the discard, and he knows the only real option for Simon to power up this Lugia is double colorless energy. Because Simon, that Thunderous EX is going to get knocked out this turn. Yeah. Now we do see a laser come down, and he's gonna computer search here. He discards a Ultra Ball and a. It looks like he's deciding between Dark Patch and another card. He discards Dark Patch. So now he's probably going to get the Enhance Hammer, limit the amount of energy on this Lugia EX, and try to take more prize cards as he goes. So he does Enhance Hammer the Lugia EX, gives a Dark Claw to the other Darkrai, and draws 3 cards with Bicycle. However, those cards not really doing much, and it looks like he just Junipers here, gets rid of all 4 of those cards. So now Jason's really looking for energy cards. He just wants to start powering up his second Darkrai as much as he can, and hopefully he just hopes he gets it. He does have a energy search, and he has a dark energy in his hand, so he's kind of debating whether he wants to use energy search or not. But it looks like he's going to opt to just attach darkness energy normally. However, he does get an energy search, and he uses it, and this is just really to thin out his deck. He doesn't want to redraw this energy search, and it lets him have an additional energy in the discard pile if he uses Ultra Ball, which is an option here. He does have a Dark Patch too, so he might use Ultra Ball right here just to get the Dark in the discard, and use Dark Patch to put a second Dark Energy onto Darkrai EX. This is a very tough discard decision. Jason's deck takes a lot of resource management, and Jason really taking a little bit of time to just make sure he doesn't discard the wrong cards, play the wrong cards in the wrong order, things like that. So now, with Thundurus EX gone, Jason's board position is dominating Simon's. Enhanced Hammer has once again taken its toll onto Simon's deck. And Simon really needs a lot of cards here to pull this out. So he gets another Thundurus EX, and he has a double colorless energy in his hand. So he attaches it to Lugia EX, and now Jason is in very, very good board state. Simon is forced to retreat for Deoxys EX and just pass, letting Deoxys take the full brunt of Jason's attacks. So now Jason is looking at Ultra Ball here. He has the Verbank City gem. He doesn't really want that in his hand, and he has 2 Darkrai's in his hand, which quite frankly he doesn't need. He only needs at most 3 for this matchup, especially since 2 Sableyes have been knocked out earlier. So we do see a Ultra Ball getting rid of a Dark Energy and a Verbank City gem, and it looks like it gets nothing. Actually, there's a Keldeo EX in there. Jason playing 2 Keldeo, which is very strong versus the Gothitelle Excelgor deck, and in this case, it's actually just strong versus Hypnotoxic Laser. So Jason is now playing the Keldeo EX. He plays Pokemon Catcher for the Lugia EX, and now he's just going to put a ton of damage onto this Lugia EX. He Dark Patches onto the Darkrai EX on the bench, and now he has the option of playing N. He might want to hold it back, but we see Jason can still attach for his turn. He can attach to Keldeo EX to fight Poison. He can attach to Darkrai just to get it powered up completely. And yeah, so now we just probably going. Oh, very smart of Jason. He retreats for the non-damage Darkrai EX, and what this says is you're gonna need a Pokemon Catcher to get this Darkrai on the bench, and I'm just gonna do 110 damage and 30 to the Keldeo. So Simon, he has an energy card to use Plasma Gale, but it's not going to take a knockout without Pokemon Catcher. Pokemon Catcher for the Darkrai EX on the bench would knock it out and take 3 prizes. However, Jason has the counter response to this, so this is a very dire situation for Simon. What could he really do to win this game? Again, Enhanced Hammer has just taken everything away from Simon, along with the Hypnotoxic Lasers, the perfect knockouts with Darkrai EX and Dark Claw and Laser, the Darkrai's ability to reach 170 damage has proven very strong versus Simon's deck, and Simon is just going to Chorus for 10 and really just hope for the best. So he really needs to hit a Pokemon Catcher here, and then he needs some time to power up another Pokemon. One option would actually be to knock out Darkrai EX on the bench for 3 prizes, and then use another Pokemon Catcher with a Hypnotoxic Laser and Thundurus EX onto the Sableye for a knockout, and that would be Simon's one of Simon's paths to victory. Now, it really just comes down to, does Simon draw a Pokemon catcher? He drew 10 cards, so the chances of him drawing it are fairly high. And now let's just see what he does. So he's going to rush in with Keldeo EX. He has a Max Potion. Ooh, and this is very good. He can Max Potion off the damage from Keldeo EX, completely healing it. And if he can get maybe he'll retreat for the Deoxys and buy himself one more turn. And he does. So Simon really just buying time here for his energy attachments, since he already attached a Prism Energy onto Lugia EX. So now Jason will get another free Night Spear off, and Simon is really just, he has so much damage on his field. He looks like he's gonna hold back that Max Potion. He wants Jason to fully commit damage here before he uses his Max Potion. So now Jason is counting the number of cards in his deck, and Jason can actually win if, well, not yet. He can win in a few turns. If he Night Spears here and then puts damage onto the Lugia EX, and then what I'll do is, if Jason can draw a catcher, Jason would win the game, because if there's damage on Deoxys EX, 110 damage on Deoxys EX, and then if that gets Max Potion, then Jason can just catcher the Keldeo EX and laser, assuming that Jason's first Night Spear damage is on the Lugia EX, bringing it to 170 damage. So Jason has a good amount of ways to win this game, and Simon is really banking on this Max Potion and paying out. He really needs a few turns here. Simon really just needs to draw N. He needs to stop Jason from going through with his deck, but it looks like Jason just Night Spears for 110 and puts 30 onto the Lugia. So Jason is in prime position to just win the game very soon. And he does have a Juniper in his hand. Jason's deck looks very small, so Juniper might be able to draw through most of it. And now we see a Blend Energy onto the Thundurus EX. He might be going for a Pokemon catcher and a laser onto Sableye. That would be very good here. Or, if he doesn't have that, he might go for the... Yep, he's going for the Darkrai. And now he's just going to go Plasma Gale. He's going to take 3 prize cards and just hope that he can knock out this... He can just knock out the Sableye for the last prize in the coming turn. So we do see a Plasma Gale for 3 prize cards. Simon is 1 prize card away. He has the Pokemon catcher in his hand. Can Jason win on this turn? He either has to win on this turn, or he has to play N to get rid of Simon's hand. And Jason is going through his options here. He's checking what he has left in his deck, and he's really deciding: do I want a Juniper, or do I want to N here? I know he knows for a fact that Lugia is going to get knocked out this turn, but if he can draw a Pokemon catcher and a Hypnotoxic Laser, he can catcher up the Keldeo EX, use Hypnotoxic Laser and Night Spear for 4 prizes when he targets the Lugia EX with the bench damage. So Jason does use Professor Juniper, and he draws his entire deck and uses Pokemon catcher, and then he uses Hypnotoxic Laser, and Jason Klaczynski is the 3-time world champion. Wow, what a match. So Jason 2-0s Simon in quite a crushing fashion, using a combination of Night Spears, lasers, and Enhance Hammer. Congratulations to Jason Klaczynski for becoming the first-time, 3-time Pokemon TCG World Champion. And congratulations to Simon for making it to 2nd place, and we see a good amount of sportsmanship coming out of the both of them. And wow, what a match.